documents were torn to shreds. What else were they hiding behind the Eye's signet?
Weave that into your mantle.
Looks like research that's been compiled on the ecological and geographic impact of the surge across the Enclave's landform.
hope you're not afraid of diving into bottomless pits.
Hardly. Maybe a little. Why?
Despite the Grand Gates no longer functioning, there is a more direct way to reach the source. By dropping straight down into a rift in Lower Denevron.
You know, last time I wanted to charge into a restricted area, you weren't so sure it was a great idea.
People change. Maybe I've learned a thing or two about calculated risk-taking from you. And the prospect of securing the source makes this a risk worth taking.
This is only one piece of the puzzle. The axle isn't going to budge until we figure out a way to lessen the tangles at the source.
With good reason. We don't want you to fry down there.
It's a little bit beautiful, isn't it? It's like reaching into the past and shaking hands with its designer. We have achieved much.
I think she'd be happy to see it up and running.
I think so too. Plans set in motion decades ago. Slowly ticking towards fruition. If we are so lucky.
Bryn. And Lane? To what do I owe the pleasure?
We're hoping that there's something you can help us with. Or rather, we're hoping that there's something we can help you with.
I'm not sure I follow.
I've been at a loose end, gnawing on painful thoughts, only growing more despondent in the process.
Huh.
So we're here to focus on problems that are a little more tangible. What can we help you with?
That is very kind of you. I've had a great deal of difficulty keeping on top of things.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We're here to help. Like I said.
Right. I've got a petition from the scouts here somewhere. Let me find it. Arakim has been nagging me about accessing the Archon's Hearth. Its stores of raw material could busy our Forge Masters for months. Now that I'm technically in charge, I'm loath to follow Kenrick's lead in recklessly sending the scouts into dangerous situations. What I'm lacking to make that call is intelligence on the Archon's Hearth. Our documentation is decades out of date.
I've already spent a lot of time in there, actually. It was pretty hot, from what I recall.
Dangerous too, one would assume. Can you elaborate on what you saw in there?
While exploring where the arcs were assembled, I couldn't help but imagine how busy it must have been back before the surge. Archons seem big when I'm fighting them, but the scale feels totally different when they're attached to a scaffold.
Fascinating.
Anyway, there's lots going on in there. Do you think it's safe enough to send in the scouts?
Not quite. I still have grave concerns about the fluctuating heat levels.
I believe I may have a solution for that. A potion that will maintain your body temperature even in the hottest conditions. I don't quite have the equipment to make it yet, but the knowledge is there.
That's wonderful news. That said, I would like a demonstration to be sure they work.
A fair stipulation. Some sort of combat encounter in the Archon's Hearth under the hottest possible conditions. Fighting an Archon that relies on fire magic would be ideal to demonstrate the potion's efficacy.
You know I'm always up for a challenge.
I have no doubt in your abilities after what I've witnessed you achieve.
Well then, I'll be back once I've felled a mighty construct.
You must be thinking of running after these emergency measures are finished.
I assure you, I'm... You're going to speak to the Talon?
I don't expect to get much out of it, but yes.
Be careful. Clearly the Talon was able to manipulate Kenrick. And while I know you're not the idiot he is, speaking to that thing is risky.
I just have to find out what I can.
It's a risk worth taking, I know. Just don't reveal anything in the process.
You.
Hello to you too. Why don't you try greeting me with a smile?
How do you have access to our scry?
Magic.
Seriously?
Your scry is connected to Gloom Gates and by extension the tapestry, which spans all through the underworks. No system is impenetrable. I found a way in.
I want you out of my ear. Now. I'm sick of your voice.
And yet you came back to see me. Puzzling.
You're impossible.
That's one of them, Bryn. I hoped they would still be down here.
What should we expect?
The Norians were experimenting without informing the Enclave of the aeroliths. They wanted them to do more than just moderate the weather. They wanted to control it.
They got tired of long winters? Gloomy days?
Think bigger. If you control the rain in a desert, you control the land itself.
Just offer incredible power and endless life to the rulers.
should be enough for us to piece their research together, Bryn.
How delightful. The fussy one has you running his errands. And lo, he is pleased.
Shush.
Will I be learning how Norians hide their information, Sev?
Yes. And if word gets out, we're both going to be hunted.
The best knowledge is always dangerous.
I like this one.
I shouldn't be surprised the Norians use a fluid to conceal their secrets. It's ingenious, really. An acid of sorts that can etch the writing into the metal invisibly. And when you apply another compound, it oxidizes. It's like a legible rust, and yet, after you're done, you can just wipe it clean and it flakes off.
Medium aside, what did we learn?
As Sev expected, research on the aeroliths. It's a bit outside my speciality, so I passed it to Dharm.
And how are we feeling about Sev's revelations?
It's not like I've never kept things from my friends, and I generally keep them from my family, so I empathize. But I don't keep them from the band. Anyway, Dharm's waiting.
I'm proud of this one.
Lane said I should talk to you about the plates we found for Sev.
Perhaps you could walk with me?
Sure.
I have already passed my notes on. This conversation isn't about them. I wanted to ask how you're doing with regards to Sev.
I feel for him. He's had to struggle with divided loyalties and had no one to lean on. Hiding that kind of strain can't have been easy. How lonely to carry that without help.
I agree. Our friend has been suffering in silence. You are kind to think of him first. But please don't forget, you are the one out there with her life on the line. You have your struggles too. There is a Bryn out there who wasn't deceived by a friend. Wasn't forced into the role of point so early, for that matter.
I promise you, I'm okay. But thank you for taking this moment.
Ultimately, I will say this. There was a time in my life I walked away from everything I held most important. Sev is handling it better than I did. He's not angry or bitter, he's just working through the problem. Commendable, really. I aspire to the same. It's kind of you to help him. I'm sure he appreciates it more than he'll ever be able to say. So I'm saying it for him. Sev already has my notes. Good luck in your endeavors.
Exciting news, Bryn.
You figured out how to clear the source?
Nothing quite that far along, but we are a step closer. As I suspected, the Norians were doing experiments not even Enclave leadership knew about. Not to just stabilize the weather, but directly control its extremes.
Which is pretty much what we're seeing the aeroliths do, here and now.
I honestly think that these experiments, left unattended, are the direct cause of the wild temperature changes. Likely contributed to the floods as well, though I suspect Asylum was the larger cause there. Regardless, if I can pick up where their research left off, we might have a solution to our problem at the source.
What will it take to move from might have a solution to definitely have a solution for the source?
The research you recovered focused on using patterns from creatures with natural flame and frost affinity. It used those patterns to briefly augment one part of the enchantments woven into an aerolith.
Use flame magic to tilt the aerolith hotter for a time.
Yes, exactly. And they had some success with it, proving the methods viable.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but too bad there aren't miasma creatures.
There's one, and Dharm already managed to recover some of its pattern.
But not enough?
Oh, absolutely enough. You've been working hard and it's paid off. I needed an exquisite resonance from all three types of magic. And we have that.
That's fantastic. Is that it then?
We're going to combine them with the Norian's notes and Dharm's studies of the Herald to build a device to influence the aeroliths. I gave the design to Sola. She said it should be doable, but wants your approval on which materials to use.
If this could pull miasma out of the source somehow, sign me up.
It's the most promising lead I have. And it's very promising indeed.
That was one of the most complicated things we've ever collectively assembled.
I hope it wasn't too much.
No. No, it was fine. Would have been easier with some of Dharm's help, but
You do make a good team.
I know. And here I'm down an apprentice too.
No more learning to smith.
Now. I'm not saying that. We just need to figure out what comes next together. Which brings me to the question of the hour. You were already a Norian. Why did you want to be my apprentice anyway?
Rambralem.
Oh. Oh! That makes so much more sense. You could have just told me.
That's a cultural thing for you, isn't it?
Oh, you know. Yes. Very much so. But yes, Sola. I'm sorry. I was afraid if you dug too hard into my past, you might learn about the Norians.
And they don't like people digging.
No, they truly don't. That is your answer, though.
And this is your intricate doodad. I cannot wait to see what it does.
This airlift should be perfect, Bryn.
Right. Done.
That's all we needed. The others have been helping me with a little project on the side. A surprise for you.
No hints.
You'll see.
Sev been building? What's all this, big guy?
The culmination of all our efforts, Bryn.
He wanted it to be a surprise.
Consider me impressed. But what exactly does it do?
He hasn't told you?
As Casman said, I wanted it to be a surprise.
Sev, we all do better work with context. This is something you're going to need to get used to.
Yeah. You're a weaver now. I heard you say so yourself.
It's the culmination of a Norian dream. But unlike them, I'm not going to use it to put a nation in a stranglehold. No. I'm going to change the weather. For you.
For me?
Yes. It will take some resources, so let's be judicious, but yes. We can change the weather before your expeditions.
Well, this is incredible. What's involved with actually making it happen?
Well, it's not simple for me. But for you, I'll keep it simple. If we want to make a change before you leave, we can do it as part of the preparation. The aerolifts are all connected. And the device we created will let me give them let's call it a shove, for a day or so.
We've run some limited tests, and everything holds up. It's really rather ingenious.
And we'll give you quite the edge. Imagine tossing a drought when a frost creature is hunting.
It can affect my asthma, too, yes?
Yes. And since, thanks to you, I know exactly where the source is, I'm confident I can help you clear a path. Clear enough that the Ark of Verdance should be able to keep you safe at any rate.
Sounds like the last piece of our plan. Should I call the Axle?
When you're ready, we are.
You look like you've got something on your mind, Sev.
Struggling a little, perhaps. I find myself torn.
Between Casmin's stews and Darn's spiced pork? Same.
Pork. Stew gets in my fur. That aside, I find myself both wanting to tear down the Norians and redeem them. Surely not everything they did was self-serving politics. There had to be some craft or artistry behind it.
That's the part of Norian-ness that appeals to you?
Recently I found records, experiments to improve flow rates across the tapestry.
Better pipes.
Pretty much. The team was working on it right around the time the surge hit.
Any idea where?
Not too far from here. Odd they'd set up in a swamp, but perhaps it was a stress test.
We're going to have to fix the Enclave, eventually. Better pipes can't hurt. I'll check it out.
You are tireless, Bryn.
I wouldn't say tireless. Just responsible. That is what a point does.
You're right. But we all notice how hard you work. I know what it feels like to work without praise. Feels good to shine a little sun on your achievements.
All right, everyone. Let's give Khan Atame the rundown.
Using the aerolifts, I can trigger a miasma everywhere they affect above ground.
It is advised that your people remain indoors during this process.
The miasma will flow from the source, which will lessen the raw magic enough to keep Bryn safe while she escorts the Ark.
And how is she going to get there without the Grand Gate?
She'll drop in through the rift in Lower Denevron.
Skies, of course she will.
Don't worry. I've got plenty of experience scaling down cliffs.
Once she's in the underworks, she'll stay within the Ark's protective field and follow it to the source where it will fulfill its purpose. To pacify the...
And what about the Herald?
That's where you're going to need to trust me.
You really think you can do this?
When I doubt my own abilities, I just look to my band. Kaz is prepared for plans A through Z. Dam and Sola have me armed to the teeth. Oria is going to guide me through thick and thin. Lane knows more about the Enclave than the people still living in it. Arik has brought us into your world, and Sev can control the freaking weather. How can I fail?
So? What do you say?
Kenrick lied to us for decades. It's hard to believe anyone who says they're going to take care of the Surgeborn now. But with how open you've been, and everything you've done for us already, you've earned my trust. We will stay and fight for our hearth.
Thank you.
Bryn, I'll coordinate with Sev. When you're ready, come see me.